hey, things are going pretty well. I think it's time to take our relationship to the next level, if you know what I mean. Or, if you don't want to, that's fine, I guess. Now that didn't seem very sincere, did it? Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and welcome back to Everyday Consent. Maybe you've heard the saying that a person has to be able to say no before they can really say yes. This means that someone is only actually able to consent if they're able to make a choice. But if someone doesn't feel safe or comfortable saying no, then that kind of eliminates no as a real option. Which means that even if they say yes, that might not count because they haven't really been given a choice in the first place. In this case, what seems like consent might actually be coercion, and nobody wants that. We of course want to make sure that we are never coercing our sexual partners into anything they don't want to do, right? We want everyone to have sexy, happy, fun times. So in that case, we need to try to do everything in our power to make sure that when we ask our partners to do something sexual with us, they really do have a choice in the matter and really do have the option to say no. But there are a lot of things that could get in the way of somebody feeling safe and comfortable saying yes or no. Things like uneven power structures, where one person makes way more money than the other person, or one person is much older or more professionally powerful. And there are also things like gender roles or other cultural expectations that could strongly influence how comfortable someone is speaking their mind. Basically, it can be really easy to assume that consent is only about what happens in the bedroom, between two fully independent people making fully informed choices with no external influence. But that's simply not true. You and your partners do not exist in a vacuum. You're people that live in the world and in your communities. And the power structures and events that go on in your communities and in your life affect things like sexual identity and sexual autonomy and sexual consent. Now, that's a whole lot to try to account for when you're just asking somebody if they want a bone, right? And a lot of these things aren't even necessarily in your control. But fear not, some of it is in your control. And there's at least one pretty simple way to try to combat a lot of this. And that is to try to get good at making it as clear as possible that you really are okay with hearing no. In most cases, an easy way to do this is to say as much, or rather to give your partner a clear verbal out. For example, saying, hey, do you want to have sex now? It's totally fine if you don't. Or, I'd love to kiss you, but we can keep cuddling if you want. Because of all the things that we mentioned earlier, and because just talking about consent in the first place can be foreign for many people, clearly offering no up as a valid option can be helpful. It can encourage your partner to take a moment to think about whether they really want to do what you asked or not. And showing that you really care about making sure that they feel comfortable moving forward can help them to feel safe and to trust you. It might even make them more likely to want to do those things with you. But it is really important to make sure that the out you give sounds sincere. Just saying the right words is not enough. Your partner needs to believe that you mean them, or it won't even matter. There is a big difference between, or if you don't want to, that's fine too, and or if you don't want to, that's fine too. So tone can be really important. Also, it can sometimes be good to give your partner an idea of what saying no to your request might look like. Even if you've told your partner that it's okay to turn down your request, they might still worry that if they do say no, then that means everything has to stop, or that you'll feel hurt and rejected. So sometimes it can be good to give your partner an out in the form of suggesting another option. Maybe to keep doing what you're already doing, or even some other low-pressure activity. By saying, hey, I'm really enjoying hanging out and happy to keep doing that. Or by saying, if you don't want to do that, we can do this other thing instead. You're making clear that them saying yes or no is not a make or break situation. You're not going to up and leave. You're just asking them what they feel like doing right now. You can even suggest the option of doing the activity some other time if they're not feeling up to it right now. It takes some of the pressure off of their response so that their no does not have to mean never if they don't want it to. Do be careful when giving alternate options though. You don't want to give them an option that's not really an out. For example, if you say, hey, do you want to have sex right now? Or you could just go down on me, when all you've been doing so far is cuddling, they might not want to do either of those things. So in this case, you're pretending to be thoughtful and giving them a choice, but you're actually not doing that at all. And that's a jerk move. Don't do that. But this can be tricky to figure out because it really does depend on the situation. What is or is not a good option to give as an out can vary. Even in the example I just gave, if you know that your partner gets really excited about going down on you, but is nervous about having penetrative sex, then maybe that is a good option to give. Maybe that works great for you two in that situation, even though it would not work well for a lot of other people in other situations. Another common example is cuddling. You can say, I'd love to kiss you, or we can just cuddle. And that can be a good option to give for a lot of people. But maybe your partner just hates cuddling. In that case, if they also don't feel like kissing you, then you've just given them two options that they don't want, and you've backed them into a corner without even meaning to. So it totally depends on the situation, and you should be thoughtful and use your own judgment. In general, try to shoot for things that feel like less of a big deal, whatever that means for you and your partner. And when in doubt, suggesting that you stick to what you're already doing right now is usually a safe bet. Now, I know when you're in the heat of the moment, it can be hard to actually be sincere when giving someone an out. Usually when you're suggesting something to your partner, you really want to do it, and you want to do it right now, and you will be a little disappointed if they say no. But remember, the whole point of this consent thing is that making sure that you and your partner are actually happy and freely consenting to what's happening is strictly more important than getting your rocks off. Also, practicing giving outs more often can be helpful for you. It can help remind you that it's not the end of the world if they say no, and that there are plenty of other fun things you can do together without anyone having to feel pressured. There's a world of possibility, and you don't have to have sex exactly the way that you plan to have a good time. And I think that's pretty cool. So how about you? What are some good ways that you found to give partners an out? What have you found easy or hard about doing so? Let me know down in the comments, or you can always email me at everydayconsent@gmail.com. If you like this video, press that like button, and if you want to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe. Happy consenting, folks. I'll see you next week.
You show your bottom teeth a lot when you're like...
I don't know what that means. I don't think I can show my lower teeth.
I mean, you're showing them right now.
Oh, it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, no, they're
super
showing.
They're bigger than I thought. Why did I point there?